特別番組として駐日スイス特命全権大使ウルス・ブーヘルさんと前橋市長の対談の模様をお送りします。
Mr. Buffel, thank you very much for visiting this city of Tsu. And I'd like to talk about the relationship between Switzerland and Japan, especially city of Tsu. And first, may I ask you to introduce yourself, and maybe you have been so busy last week to have some kinds of the big ceremonies celebrating the anniversary of 150 years anniversary to be created, the relationship between Switzerland and Japan, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's a great pleasure to be here after last week, where we have had the visit of our president and big anniversary festivities. Yeah. Coming to Tsu for me is a bit like a holiday. And to be here in this beautiful surrounding is, yeah. The only bad thing about it is that I have to take a train later in the afternoon and go back.
So the sky and the sea is welcoming you. It opens. And you know that the city of Tsu has a very wide areas from the Ise Bay seashore line to the mountainous areas. So what's your first impression about this city when you visited, you arrived 2 hours ago maybe, and you drove downtown the city?
Yeah. Well, I'm living in the heart of Tokyo, and there, of course, you cannot see anything from the landscape. It's just architecturally interesting, but not from the point of view of the landscape. The local train that we have taken to come to Tsu showed me these very nice surroundings here. But of course, the most impressive moment was when we arrived here on the seashore. This is really
yes. The station is over there on the building. So the city itself is very compact, and I think that in Switzerland, the city size is not so big, but very convenient for the citizens to enjoy their lives there. Of course, in Geneva and other small cities you have, is very convenient to live. So compared with those cases, city of Tsu is very convenient to live and to work and to enjoy their lives. However, you know, of course, Japan, big cities in Japan has many other advantages. We don't have such advantages, but today I'd like to talk about maybe how can we activate the economic in this city by utilizing those possibilities to exchange the technology or the kind of the maybe I would say the making the relationship with each other. But before talking about that, I'd like you to introduce about the 150th anniversary, very long history between Switzerland and Japan.
Yeah, in fact, on the 6th of February, it was exactly 150 years ago since Japan and Switzerland have signed their first treaty of amity and trade. And we can really say that since 150 years, we do have a very intense and close friendship. This anniversary year is for us very important for both countries because it's a reason to bring us mutually on the radar. You know that usually good news is no news.
Good news is no news, yeah.
The fact that you cannot read so much about Switzerland in Japanese newspaper is simply due to the fact that we do not have any major problem in our bilateral relations. On the other hand, we have extremely close cooperation economically, we are playing in the same league as France or England when it comes to trade. Swiss companies employ more than 75,000 people in Japan. We have a very, very rich cultural exchange, and politically, this may be the even most surprising point. Japan is in the United Nations system our closest ally. In 95% of all cases, we vote the same way like Japan. So plenty of reasons to celebrate this 150th anniversary, and the fact that His Imperial Highness, the Crown Prince, acts as a honorary president of the anniversary year, and on our side the Swiss president, that clearly shows that there is a deep mutual respect between our two countries.
Deep mutual respect. That's a very important point, and I personally, of course, respect the country of Switzerland, of course, nation of Switzerland. And on top of that, maybe those stable relationships made us possible to have an local agreement, mutual agreement. For instance, in February 2009, the Swiss Institute CSEM, Swiss Center for Electronics and Microtechnology, and the government of the city of Tsu and 3 other organizations, including Mie Prefecture, had an agreement to collaborate with each other for the further industrial cooperation. Since then, CSEM and city of Tsu had a good relationship. Mr. Kotoro Shios, who is the vice president of CSEM, visited this city last year, and we had renewed the agreement, including Mie University. So that kind of collaboration had been possible by the background of long, stable relationship between your country and Japan, maybe.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is just one example of what I said. There is indeed a very intense relationship, and I can only congratulate you, Mayor, that you are also personally behind such initiatives. In fact, in Switzerland, we have some of the biggest global players, of the biggest worldwide, biggest companies, like Nestle or our big pharmaceutical companies. But still, most of the jobs in Switzerland are created by small and medium enterprises.
Yeah, that's very important.
And even the more, it is important that from our side, we offer them best possible framework conditions, and that we bring these small companies and medium-sized companies together. And from that point of view, this initiative is, of course, more than welcome, and I hope that it will also have fruitful results in the future.
Thank you. In terms of the support for those SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, we had another agreement in November 2012, OPI, Office to Promotion the Industry, the Technology, and City of Tsu had an agreement, signed the agreement in Geneva to support those SMEs. And over lunch, we talked about the case of the possibility to make it possible for the real business, you know. So, for instance, SRB Energy, a Swiss solar thermal collector manufacturer, and Renaissance 5 enterprises, SMEs in the city, had an agreement to conclude in an exclusive distributorship agreement in 2012, and they are working together how to sell those solar panel products in Japan. And on top of that, Tokai Azumi Techno took an order of the precision part from a timepiece parts manufacturer in Geneva this year or last year. So this kind of good business collaboration has already been started. by the support of OPI and City of Tsu. That is very important for the local government sector to be able to make it possible for those SMEs who has the special technology for each and to collaborate with each other to enlarge their market is very important, I think. So thank you for the support by the state of Switzerland.
Well, thank you very much. Of course, we are both on the beneficiary side. You mentioned one key word which is very important. It's distribution channels. Notably for small and medium enterprises, it's not so evident to have good distribution channels worldwide. And if we can bring together our knowledge and also this sort of soft factors, this will be definitely a successful cooperation.
But you're right, and maybe we will be able to work for those possibilities by intermediating such a kind of the possibility which they are thinking and we are thinking. That is very important. So another example is Sanyu Giken Industry, who is specialized in the die cast, is progressing with their business negotiation with a jewelry art sample manufacturer in Geneva. So that is, of course, we can imagine, but I think I'm proud of those real business is ongoing with over 10,000 kilometers far place and selling by collaborating with each other to selling in Asia area. Yeah,
that's hopefully another success story. You know, despite these 10,000 kilometers that separates us, Japanese and Swiss people and also business people have a surprisingly high number of things in common. If you would describe the typical qualities of a Japanese business person, you would probably mention that he is absolutely reliable and that he attaches a big importance in long-term relationship. Or, of course, that the quality of the product he sells is really up to the highest standards. This is exactly also what Switzerland is well known for. I mean, everybody knows watches, but this is also the case in other areas like high-tech industry, for instance, alternative energies, solar panels, and so on. And one last factor, which also makes business between our two countries relatively easy, modesty. Also, I think, a characteristic that also successful business people are rather modest in the way they approach their partners, and they are rather looking for harmonious relations, and this helps a lot.
Of course, I guess your point, and maybe the relationship between big companies and big companies with, of course, has been possible, but SMEs relationship among SMEs are also possible and very, very attractive because you know that I have been thinking that when you arrive here, I'd like to ask, I had the idea to ask you about the possibility of the support by the local government. But over lunch, we talked about that, and I realized that in your country, in Switzerland, all the activities are made by each local authorities, so local areas, not only in Geneva, but in Neuchâtel and other small cities has the kind of the idea to activate the local economy and like that. So I'm very proud of, as a mayor of the local city, I can contribute to the to stimulate the economics here in this city. So would you please talk about the possibilities of the local cities, local authorities to be able to make to be able to enlarge the relationship with overseas relationship as an ambassador of Swiss to Japan.
You are perfectly right. In fact, Switzerland is relatively small, but it is divided in 26 cantons, which is the equivalent to prefectures, and 2,600 communities, imagine, so very small entities. But all of these entities, they are taking care of their own industry and economy locally. And of course, depending on the needs, they want to be attractive for one or the other sector. Not everybody wants to have chemical industry, for instance. In some touristic areas, this would not be a good match. So the fact that it's the local entity that makes the business promotion grants that it is then really up to the need in this specific region. Now, to give a concrete example, in the Geneva area, of course, the local authorities try to highlight the proximity to traffic infrastructure. There is an international airport, railway, and so on. You have an open labor market with a lot of very educated staff that you can have at their disposal. Now, these communities, they are also in competition with each other.
Competition is a very important point, yes.
And this is something that we do not see negatively, but positively, because competition between different regions and communities obliges them to do a good policy. When it comes to taxes, for instance, you wouldn't believe it, but the tax rate may change every second village, or even every village that you pass when you travel across Switzerland, because it's the local people who decide on the taxation level and also for the expenditure.
By voting, right?
By voting.
Yes.
Yes. And again, in this setup, our local authorities try to create good framework conditions, and then they also try to establish international contacts. We have a series of Swiss cities who have partner cities in Japan. Most of them are somehow related to tourism, but not necessarily. We are going to have, during this anniversary year, about half a dozen delegations coming from local entities to Japan and bringing people together. Of course, this means friendship, but it also means business.
Business, I see. I see. So maybe your story reminds me about the, of course, the legal system is different, but of course, what we can do as a mayor is, what I can do as a mayor is to compete with other local authorities. So, of course, the economy itself is, local economy itself will be operated by the small and medium-sized enterprises and so on, and merchant. But you know, this is what we can do as a public sector is to support or to give them the opportunity to be able to do it smoothly for them. So I'd like to continue making efforts to support those activities. So please conclude your idea about the possibility for the future to be in terms of the possibility to activate local economy when after you look at this city, maybe from the point of the ambassador, maybe you felt so different things when you look at all over Japan cities and local businesses, but maybe you have enough experience for 4 years stay here in Japan. So please teach us or please suggest us about the future possibility to be able to, I would say, activate these kind of local city?
Well, as a guest in this country, I have to be very careful to give an advice. Of course. What I can do is just tell you about our own experiences. And again, the success of a region depends, of course, on the one side on authorities, and on the other side also of the activities of the private sector.
Private sectors, yes.
And we try to work as harmoniously as possible together, but we should not mix up functions. It's up to the business to do business. And it's up to the legislature and the authorities to create the good framework conditions. And mentioning these framework conditions, we have already talked about taxes, for instance, but there are others like an economy-friendly environment, meaning a good infrastructure, having good possibilities to the labor market, also having good personal relationship with potential markets.
Potential market, yeah.
And there again, I think the example that you have been showing, these small companies in Switzerland, they are supported by local authorities and also by universities, working closely together and bringing them together with small and medium enterprises here in Japan. And this is exactly this game where each partner has his own responsibility, but it is done in a way to create synergies.
That's a collaboration, yes.
Yes.
I see. Okay, you can see the boat over there, so let me take you to the platform of the boat. And this time you visited by train, but next time you will be able to come to the central area and directly by taking that boat you can reach to this city.
Yeah, that's a wonderful offer, but I would even prefer to do the whole way down from Tokyo up to Tsu by boat.
By boat.
Maybe you find me a good charterer. I would be most happy.
That during you will be on board. You can enjoy the fishing, what you like.
Yes, fishing and reading and having a sun bath. Yes.
Okay, let you try next time.
Yes.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bouhet.
Thank you very much.